Okay, a lot of effort has been put into making sure that home prices stay up. But would a fall in those home prices actually be better for the economy? Susan Wachter is a professor of real estate and finance at the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. Go Quakers. Peter Schiff is our old pal, president of Europe Pacific Capital, author of How an Economy Grows and Why It Crashes. And before we get into any arguments, Peter has been dead right about the price of gold for, I don't know, 5-6 years now. I mean, so I want to hand that to him because I used to give him a real hard time, and he was absolutely right. Now, having paid him a compliment, I'm going to start with Susan. Susan, should home prices go down to help the economy? What's that? How's that work?
Should housing prices go down to help the economy?
Right.
Yeah, let's see how that would work out.
All right, so
exactly.
you say silly, right?
Well, it's not a question of silly. It's a question of far more serious than that. You know, if it's silly, okay, let's just put it aside. But it's not that would help the economy. Of course, if it were unavoidable, we would have to obviously take steps to respond. But as a help, I don't see it.
Peter, I'm guessing that you think it's like it would be helpful to purge the system?
Well, look, absolutely. You know, Mark, thanks for the, compliment on gold, but I've also been right on housing, so I know a bit about it. You know, for the 9 years going up to 2006, if you looked at the Case-Shiller Home Price Index, real estate prices rose by almost 19% a year. And even though they've dropped by 30% since the peak in 06, they're still better than 20% above the 100-year trend line. See, the problem wasn't that real estate prices are falling. The problem is that they went up in the first place, but the government is not letting them go back down. It's artificially propping them up with 0% interest rates from the Fed, with subsidized mortgages. That is part of the problem, because trying to keep real estate prices too high, that's what's undermining our economy. That's what's preventing recovery. So as long as we're trying to prop up the price of houses, what's actually going to happen is the price of everything else is going to go up, because real estate prices have to correct. And if the government won't let real estate prices fall, then the price of food is going to go up. The price of energy is going to go up, and real estate prices are going to come down, but it's going to be in real terms, not nominal terms.
I'm not sure about that follow-on effect, Susan, but his argument about housing prices has great intuitive appeal to me. I mean, if the government's in there, and it is, propping up prices, and it is, then you still do not have, let me finish, then you still do not have a real reality-based real estate market.
Well, first of all, the prop-up is a separate question. And if you regard today's interest rates as being propping up, that they're artificial, that they wouldn't be there but for the government actions, then of course we're in a very difficult situation. Because if interest rates rise, it's not just housing prices that are going to be impacted. There are a lot of prices in the overall economy. I agree with that. By the way, with all due respect, I've been right about housing as well. And there's nothing magic about housing prices returning to what they were in 1890 in real terms. I think the key you need to look at is the ratio of housing prices to rents. And we are not far out of line if interest rates stay the same. So there I agree with Peter, that if we have a significant upwards move in interest rates, then housing prices will take a double dip.
But that has to happen. It's only a question of when. I mean, you've got interest rates artificially low. And imagine where home prices would be if interest rates doubled, which is very easy. That would bring mortgage rates maybe up to around 9%. Where would prices be? What if the government was no longer subsidizing mortgages and co-signing the loans? What if borrowers had to convince lenders to loan the money simply based on their own creditworthiness, their own ability to pay it back? What if Americans had to come up with a 20% down payment as opposed to a 3.5% down payment? And when you got all these people who are unemployed right now, and in fact, a few years from now, there'll be more people unemployed than there are today. So when you add higher unemployment, higher interest rates, and consumer prices are going to be high. Well, real estate prices have to come down.
Should we move there? Should we move to 9% right away?
Well, they're going to go there. Well, I think the sooner the Fed raises rates, the better, because we have to re-encourage savings. We have to stop encouraging debt. We have to let real estate prices fall.
Actually, I thought that long-term rates were set in global markets. I didn't really know that the Fed had the opportunity to affect that.
Well, that's
I think global rates are low because we're in the middle of a recession.
Well, global rates are low.
Entirely over. We're in slow growth.
Global rates.
We have recovery, but
global rates are low because central banks are buying bonds. Central banks are printing money. They're artificially suppressing rates, but they're not going to stay low. Look at what's happening. Look at the price
Sadly,
of
don't
silver
disagree
today.
with that.
Sadly, we
I'm
have to
sorry,
hit pause.
but I think we may have discovered a great point-counterpoint couple to have on in the future. Thank you both, Professor.
Thank you. My
And
pleasure.
non-professor.
Did you buy any gold yet, Mark? It's
No
not
comment.
too late. It's not too late.
No comment.